I'm going to discuss the transfer spending for Liverpool this current summer that we are in. And what I want to say, first of all, is that for anyone who thinks Liverpool is overspending in the market on certain players, you might have a point, because I don't know about you, but for me, I've always thought that spending over 70-80 million pounds on a single player, um, I'm a bit skeptical about that. I think that there's always the need to be more measured on the kind of player you spend on, because for every player you spend over 80 million pounds, 90 million pounds, or 100 million pounds on, there is always another player who has the potential to get to that level in a year or two, who you can spend about 20 to 50 million pounds on. So it is up to you to identify that person and bring them in and build them up to get to that level. So there's always a cheaper option. That's how I think this transfer business works. But anyway, let's talk about Liverpool now. The fact that Liverpool have already spent over 200 million pounds in the transfer market this season on 3 players. I don't add Georgi Mamadashvili to the players we brought in this summer, because he was already signed last summer, right? So we've already brought in 3 players, and the rumors going out there is that Hugo Ekitike is almost done, right? So it's almost a done deal. So we expect that he will become a Liverpool player. It will be a big shock if he doesn't end up a Liverpool player come next season. So we expect that to happen. There's also rumors going on that even Alexander Isak's potential deal or transfer to Liverpool is not completely off. And to be honest with you, I do think Liverpool need 2 strikers. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak, because don't forget that Liverpool might lose Darwin Núñez. Diaz is likely to go, and already, may his soul rest in peace, Diogo Jota is gone. So we are going to need at least 2 players to replace these 3 players, right? So that is on the one side. But when we think about the amount of money we are spending right now, and even the players that we are linked with, the amount of money that they are going to cost, it is unlike anything we've seen Liverpool ever do in the transfer market. And I think it is important that as Liverpool fans, we understand that this is a new dawn. This is a different era that we are in. Jurgen Klopp came in and did what he could do. He's gone now. And I think the new dawn is upon us. And Liverpool are going to behave a little differently, right? The reason why I say this is that when I think of how Liverpool got here, where we are right now, spending how much we are spending and bringing in the type of players that we are bringing in, I think it started from somewhere, and it started from when Jurgen Klopp announced that he was going to leave in January 2024. Now, immediately Klopp announced that, I think 2 to 3 months on, we heard rumors about FSG wanting to bring back Michael Edwards. So when Klopp decided to leave, in my view, what happened was that the owners knew that they didn't have the expertise to move the club from where Jurgen Klopp has brought the club to, because it got to a point where Klopp was making the decisions on everything, on transfer. So when we think about the midfield rebuild, where we brought in Soboslai, McAllister, Gravenberch, Endo, it was all Klopp, because Klopp brought in his friend George Smartkey to be the sporting director to get the deals over the line for him. So it was Klopp controlling everything. Now, after Klopp announced that he was going to leave, the owners knew and they accepted the fact that they needed someone who is an expert to take the club forward. And they settled on Michael Edwards. They wanted to bring Michael Edwards back. It seemed he didn't want to come back. And it took a while before we had confirmation that Michael Edwards was going to come back. Now, this is what I think happened. What I think happened was that Michael Edwards had a deal with the owners that he wasn't going to do the same things Liverpool has been known to do when he's given the job. He was going to do things his way, and it was going to be different from what we had ever done. And the owners were okay with that. I think he made a deal with them to do things his way, and they had to give him all the freedom to work the way he deems fit. And I think this is what he deems fit. So what we are doing in this current window is something that Michael Edwards coming in had a deal with the owners, and they had to promise him that they were going to give him the free hand to operate this way if he thought that was the best way to go. Don't forget that last summer, Liverpool brought in just one player, Federico Chiesa. And I think that was all in preparation for what we are seeing now. They were preparing for this particular big haul in the summer. And I think what Michael Edwards is doing is very smart. What he's doing is that he's doing a rebuild even before the rebuild is needed. So even before we get to a point where we all panic and get into a mode where we think that, oh shit, this is what we need to bring in players A, B, or C. He's not going to wait for that time to arrive. He's going to start the rebuild now. And even by the time we get to the point where we actually need to do a rebuild, we already have the players in place to replace those who need to leave. So that is what he's doing. I'm not going to sit here and say that every single summer going forward, we are going to see this amount of huge business. That is not going to be the case. There are going to be summers going forward under Michael Edwards where we are going to sign one player or just two players or even none if he deems that to be the best move at that time. And so what we are seeing now is that he thinks this is the time to spend. It is a time to spend because we are in a powerful position. We can attract a lot of very good players. And once we get them in on long-term contract, 5 years, 6 years, we have them locked in and we can be more successful. We can pay back any money that we spent on these players, right? If he thought, or if Liverpool thinks that the money we are spending on these players are not worth it, I don't think they spend it, right? So it is money that is being spent, huge money that is being spent. It is huge risk that is being taken, but I think it is calculated risk, right? The whole game that we are playing in this transfer window is a game of risk and reward, right? The more risk you take, the higher the chance of getting a big reward. And I think when we look at what is happening, Liverpool in previous seasons have underspent their potential or their ability to spend because they've underspent for such a long time. Because when we think about it, even in the summer where we thought that we're doing a midfield rebuild, right? We brought in players, about 4 midfielders. Don't forget that in that same window, we lost someone like Jordan Henderson. We lost Fabinho. And when we lost them, they didn't go for free. We received transfer fees for those players. I think Firmino was the one who went on a free, right? But for those two players, Henderson and Fabinho, we got money for them. We got money for Sadio Mane, about 40 million pounds or maybe less than that, right? But we still got money. So Liverpool has been selling well. In that same transfer window where we brought in Gravenberg, McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Endo, we also sold, I think that was last summer. Last summer, we sold 2 players for about 50 million pounds. We sold Sepp van den Berg and Fabio Carvalho, right? And we brought in only 1 player in Federico Chiesa. I think Mamardashvili also counts as a transfer from last season. So last summer, we underspent comparing our purchases to the transfer, the outgoings. The money that we got was over and above what we spent in bringing in Mamardashvili and Federico Chiesa. So that is what happened. And it has been happening over the past few seasons, right? So when we think about it, this season, in spite of all that we've spent, don't forget that we are going to receive transfer fees for Luis Diaz if he leaves. If Darwin Nunes is to leave, we are going to receive money for him. Harvey Elliott, if he were to leave, we are going to get money for him. And so we expect some outgoings. When these outgoings eventually occur, money is going to come in. Already, Jarrell Kwanzaa is gone for about £30 million. Right, so we can say that that amount of money covers one of the fullbacks that we brought in Milos Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong. So I still think that even in this transfer window where we think Liverpool is spending mad money, at the end of the day, the net spend wouldn't be more than £150 million. I think it will still be below £150 million, no matter who we bring in. Right now, the rumor is that the deal for Hugo Ekitike is almost done. Alexander Isak to Liverpool is still not a foregone conclusion that he's not going to come. Who knows? Maybe we bring in Isak and Hugo Ekitike at the same time, because don't forget that we need 2 attackers to replace the 3 attackers that we've lost in Diogo Jota. We might lose Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunes, right? And if I'm not mistaken, we might even bring in Rodrigo from Madrid, right? But I still think that's a long shot. So nobody can be sure about that. But when we think of how much Liverpool have spent in this particular transfer window, I think that it is because of the underspending that has gone on in previous seasons, and the fact that Michael Edwards coming in made a deal with the owners that Liverpool are not going to move in the same way, in the same manner that they have done in previous seasons. And the owners agreed, and that was why he came in. Without that agreement in place, I don't think Michael Edwards would have come back to be the chief of football for Liverpool or for FSG. So this is his vision for Liverpool. I think this is all Michael Edwards. And I don't think the owners have much say in what is going on right now, because he might have agreed with them that they would give him all the freedom, they would give him the room to operate the way that he sees fit, and that is what is going on. So guys, let me know your views. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you later.